this kid meets a homeless man that sends him back in time to fall in love with his own mom. He does, and destroys his own life and bloodline. Then the homeless guy goes back to the main timeline and lives in the kid's old house now that he's out of the picture. It's very political.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 443. And the question of the week is, what game do you most want to share with your kids or your nephews or your nieces or some pet animal that has sentience?
Hypothetical children of the next generation.
There we go.
All right. I want them to develop into competent, dependable people.
Wario
Dark Souls
wearing.
1. Dark Souls 1, specifically.
You want to torture your children,
Rude.
hypothetically?
It will make them into winners.
Oh, no. But Nolan, that's not who you really are.
Say again?
That's not who you really are.
What do you mean who I really am?
That's a persona non grande. You
Tall.
You aren't like that. You're not. I know it is amazing to me that you do watch sports. Do you cheer at home? Do you get excited and amped?
The Dallas Mavericks were in the NBA Finals. Yes, I did.
Because I'm just saying, I don't think that you're actually that kind of hypothetical dad that is gonna make their slugger be tough and.
I think he is more than.
I'm not going to
realize.
Force them to play sports.
But he is gonna force them to play.
Yeah,
PoE.
they're gonna sit down.
No,
and
not
beat
PoE.
it. With a cool weapon too. No magic. They're gonna have to play it the right way.
This is the sports dad.
Well,
It's the
gonna happen.
nerdy generation version of the sports bro dad.
His
That's so funny.
his 6-year-old hypothetical child is
crying.
weeping while Dad, I can't beat him. Do it again, son.
do it again.
Yeah.
This is Miyazaki's vision. You don't understand. You will later.
Oh, good bad answer, Kenny.
I have two answers for you. If we're sitting down and playing couch co-op style, like a game together, I'm gonna bust out one of the old Ninja Turtle games.
She doesn't want to play with you.
Which one?
I don't know yet. I couldn't decide. Probably the original one, but some of the later ones are actually better.
What does the
All of
original
them?
one mean?
I mean, like
The NES.
Ninja Turtles 1, NES, the first one.
I don't think you know which one that is. We haven't played it on the podcast, and
I
it's
do.
not a side-scrolling beat-em-up.
It is.
No, the original
talking about
TMNT,
He's talking about Made in Manhattan is what he will play.
I'm not.
which is 3.
No, that's 3. That's a completely different
Turtles
game.
in Time is 4. TMNT
Right.
Arcade is a
No.
beat 'em up. The original
That's what he
TMNT
means.
on NES. TMNT on NES.
It's absolutely
No,
a
it's the
beat 'em
one
up.
with the underwater. It is a video game, but it's the underwater stages. It is a side-scrolling action platformer. It's not a beat 'em up. It's a totally different kind of experience. It's amazing, and we need to play it. And
I'm not thinking of the wrong game. I think you're gaslighting me right now because I know what game I'm thinking of, and it's the Ninja Turtles game.
Oh, that Ninja Turtles game you'll share. Okay.
No,
What's
no,
the first one? The main one.
the main one. Yeah, Turtles in Time.
What single player
that's
experience
not it.
are you going to recommend to this hypothetical child?
Nice.
Yeah, if we're not couch co-oping, then they get to play Space Cadet Pinball.
Oh.
I refuse to elaborate.
Yeah.
gonna-
I didn't
is
want
that-
you to.
Is that
because-
eligible for our retro master list? And what would
Surely.
we do that week?
Probably. I hope so.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII. I'll get that out of the way. Duh. Nolan, you're gonna want to watch. You would sit there. Would you do with your kid fictional what I would do with my fictional kid, and then sit there and watch them play through an entire Final Fantasy VII? And
Yeah.
you do it with Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that's a given.
Pull
I'll
out
do
your
that.
pull out your hair so many times.
Yeah, I know. I might rage actually because I
It'd be
kind of
so
watched my kid
frustrating.
Kenny do that at college, and it was
My
bad.
kid Kenny.
I wrote down 2 others that I think y'all will be fine with one of them, and y'all might think one of them is silly. But this
Okay.
came to mind. I want my fictional hypothetical somebody at some point in time. I want them to experience the impossible quiz. It's a flash game that
I know exactly what you're
Oh.
talking
It's
about.
amazing.
I think that's a great answer.
I was thinking. I thought balloons as well, which is just great. But impossible quiz, I would love to see them work through.
Any
and-
of those like computer lab era flash games would
Yeah.
be fun.
But then when I was thinking traditional video game, I thought Sunset Riders would be a fun.
That's a great
Like,
one.
and
Y'all
that's
went
one that I
co-op.
played growing up, and that's co-op. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a fun one, and to see them. I also thought not the original Ninja Turtles because that's a action platformer, but I did think of like the TMNT arcade game or the Simpsons arcade game. Like some of those would be a lot of.
That's
fun
why
as well.
he like checked you,
Absolutely.
Kenny, because that was one of his answers. So he had looked it up, so he knew.
These opportunities to play games with our kids or nephews or nieces will be here before we know it because, after all, time flies, especially when you're sitting in a DeLorean. Like in our retro game of the week, Back to the Future.
Overview.
Back to the Future was developed by Beam Software and published
good.
by LJN.
Good stuff.
Who's that?
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
never heard of either of those.
What do you think LJN stands for?
Let's just not.
Oh, nice. I was going with Little
Wow.
Jack Network.
Okay, that's
Okay.
an answer.
Oh, it was founded by Jack Friedman. That actually works
Oh,
then.
interesting.
I didn't know that when I made up Little Jack Network. I don't
Okay.
think it is that though.
It's certainly.
Kenny, what do you think it stands for?
Oh, it's lots of juice now.
That's it.
Thirsty?
Yeah.
I am too, not gonna lie. All right. This is basically an arcade game on rails that is based on the 1985 film of the same name. By the way, this movie's slightly overrated.
Whoa.
Whoa!
I said
can
slightly. I said
You can
slightly.
tell this guy grew up watching what? Like
This
oh,
movie
You
with my
love
brother
the
no.
sweet life of Zach and Cody. Or
Exactly.
something.
That's a good one.
Like,
Absolutely
come
not.
on.
yeah,
I watched
Hannah
this
Montana
movie
was his.
and the sequel and the other sequel with my
No.
siblings often.
No.
And I watched it again not that long ago, and it's slightly overrated.
You probably don't respect The Sandlot either.
Based on both, I love The Sandlot. Based on both of y'all's reaction, I'm correct.
Back to the
That's
Future
not.
is
It's fun.
great. It's
That's
a
not how
classic.
anything works.
It's a classic. It's wonderful. It's great. And so are the games made off of movies typically.
Almost
Okay.
always.
Well, there's the joke.
What are some of the ones that we played based on movies or
recent.
shows?
Recent.
Recent?
Right.
I just always go to Home Alone,
Oh.
which is obviously not a movie; it's a show. But the
Yeah, we did a lot
Home
of
Impro-
shows.
not
We
Home
did,
Alone, Home Improvement.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
Oh,
we did
yeah,
Home
yeah,
Alone.
yeah.
That's
We
a
did
good
Home
game.
There's
Alone.
also a Home Alone game. Yeah, we played
Which
that
one are
too.
you thinking recently?
It's not based on a show or movie. It's based on a sody pop.
Oh, yeah, that's
So-
different.
It's
That's
different.
that's a different kind of license.
Lion King,
We've done Lion King. We've done
Aladdin,
Aladdin.
Sure.
both W's.
We've done.
So
did we do
many.
a Terminator game?
yeah,
Did we?
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, we
I don't
we,
know. I
we
feel like
have
we did
done
a
a Terminator
RoboCop
game.
game.
RoboCop. we did
that's
for
what it
sure.
was.
We
Yeah.
did a Batman game where he shoots things.
That's off a comic.
Rambo.
We did do Rambo. You
Yeah.
know what else we did?
No,
E.T.
we didn't do Rambo.
E.T.
Are y'all are thinking of Prisoner of War, but that is not Rambo.
You don't think we
No,
did
we
a
did
Rambo?
Rambo, and E.T. is probably
did
the best
Rambo.
example of this being successful. And a
We
good
did
idea.
Rambo, episode 64. How could you forget, Kenny?
Correct.
Okay, well,
Hold
It
on.
was only 20
Uh,
years ago.
I actually
We
looked
also
up.
did Prisoner of War.
I looked up a list of great movies with bad games, and I found a list from Giant Bomb.
Long list, I'd assume.
Well, it is long.
Pages.
This game's not even on the list, which says something good for this game in this episode. You're about to find out. But E.T. only made 17.
It's one. It's number one.
Here's the top 5, and I don't think we haven't played any of these on the podcast. In decreasing order, starting with 5. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. Alien is number 4. Number 3 is A Bug's Life. Number 2 is 300 March to Glory, like the 300. Yeah. And then the first one is 007 Legends.
I've never even heard of that. 007 Legends. I feel like I'm familiar with all of them.
I really want to play a Bug's Life game now. Not whatever game actually got made. I just want to play the game that is the concept that I'm thinking of.
I'm sad that Alien is on there.
Me too.
Just seeing Romulus recently and being in an alien mode, but they made it up with Isolation.
Right.
Didn't you love it?
Phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal game.
Anyways, back to the future. You're going through various locations from the film in this game, walking most of the time, which happens to be in 1955. You simply must make it through each stage by jumping and collecting time itself. The plot?
It's true.
Watch the movie. But I'll give you a quick rundown. Basically, this kid meets a homeless man that sends him back in time to fall in love with his own mom. He does, and destroys his own life and bloodline. Then the homeless guy goes back to the main timeline and lives in the kid's old house now that he's out of the picture. It's very political.
I don't know where political came from, but that's the most absurd way to describe this story.
It's very political.
You don't need the story for the game, and the most absurd thing is actually reading the manual that it over and over clarifies that the game's story is just like the movie. Like, many times it's referencing, like in the movie. So, like, I just want you to know that the developers thought that they were really tethering what's happening in this game to the movie. Basically, play the game and you've got the movie. You don't even have to see the movie.
They thought the more they said that, like in the movie, that it would become true.
Right.
It's the same.
Basically. We now have a bonus episode exclusive for those on Patreon.
Episode is not an over-exaggeration. It's a full episode.
And it's an episode that you get to be a part of.
Yeah, it's called Expansion Pack, and semi-regularly you get to be a part of the conversation. And we're going to debate, and we're going to scream at each other.
We're going to talk about video games. Yeah, we're going to scream mostly, though. That's kind of the point of it.
We'll be like goats.
You roast us, we roast you. Find out more information at patreon.com/NGP podcast.
Gameplay.
I immediately was reminded of Paperboy when this game.
Yeah, me too. Not going to lie.
I would imagine Paperboy was on a few different consoles. I played it on the Game Boy. And
I played it on the NES.
On the NES?
Yeah.
Kenny, do you know what Paperboy is, hopefully?
Yeah, I know of it.
You've
like,
watched
I didn't
someone play it.
Did we
that's
play
always
it?
his answer.
Why don't we have a memory of it?
No, we haven't played it.
But you also thought we didn't play Rambo.
No, Kenny thought that. I said we played
Right. No, and I think you're thinking about Super Paper Mario.
Stop.
We have not played
He
Paperboy.
searched paper.
On the podcast. We've not played Paper on the podcast.
I had the immediate same thought too, just in the look of it, right?
Oh, it's kind of set up that way where you are you kind of have an overhead perspective of Marty McFly, the main character of the show, which is just like this, running towards the top of the screen and on a street in a neighborhood. So it's very similar. In Paperboy, you're tossing to the left, maybe and also to the right, papers and trying to get them in mailboxes or at the door, and you're also avoiding obstacles that are in the street. Kenny's never seen Paperboy before, which is absurd.
No, I was trying to decide if you ever tossed to the right, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You definitely tossed to the left.
There's houses over there. They're all unsubscribed.
I'm trying to picture it.
And this, you are running on a street in a neighborhood. You're not tossing paper. In fact, the only action button that you have at the beginning of the game is jump. So you are moving towards the top of the screen. You are avoiding obstacles such as oil spills, manholes.
Glass.
Benches.
Excuse me?
Benches.
And
Bullies.
bullies, yeah.
Hula hoop
dancers.
girls.
Ballerinas. Let's stick
Yeah.
with the B theme.
Bumblebees.
There we go.
Bad,
Big bumblebees.
bad
and-
stumps.
You are collecting clocks on your way, racing against time to get down the block.
This
Like
riveting.
you're not just doing that once or twice
or
or
thrice.
3 times. The amazing thing is, in Nolan's first play, that's all he did over and over and over again, and
He got so close to getting through that first section.
many times,
Yeah.
and he knew it.
I knew it. There's just a lot at play that
What
is against you.
Yeah,
that
it's a
first section.
rough neighborhood in 1955.
It was a very rough neighborhood, and I didn't. So, first of all, I don't like the setup. I'm fine with the timer. It's in every game at this time. I'm not fine with adding time to it. Actually, you're not even adding time to the timer. You're just slowing it down.
So, do you want to know the reality here?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
Not
not your
even
fault,
really.
Nolan, because this game is really good. But there are 2 time components that are going on. Am I right, Kenny?
Yes.
You've
they're
got
both actively working
right,
against you.
and they both can cause you to fail.
Right.
The most pressing one, I think, is probably the stage timer. You have to get to the end of the stage before the time gets down to 0. The clocks you're collecting on the stage have nothing to do with that counter, though. The clocks on the stage, which nothing in this game communicates, you'd have to have the manual, is stopping the decay of your family picture in the center bottom screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the photo is fading, which is like the movie, in fairness.
Just
Because
like,
he's marrying his mom.
Just like the movie. But the photo is fading, and you are stopping that or slowing that degradation. And then once you pick up enough of them, it actually, like past the threshold, I think you pick up 100 clocks or something, it actually restores the photo completely.
100.
And then I think sort of starts again. It's something like that.
Okay, I was wondering what that was. I thought I was like, oh, I can switch characters or something, but they're like fading away.
Yeah, no, slowly fading photo of your future.
and that degradation or lack thereof carries over. Like
Yeah.
that is a constant refrain. From
Right.
the stage timer resets with each stage, but that picture timer is going
the
on throughout the
thing
whole game.
Right. It's the thing you're fighting against, sort of large scope in trying to kind of stop and fix. Enough so that when you do get to the point in the game where the past is restored, where the future is saved, I don't know how any of those things work. I'm not gonna say it correctly because time travel boggles my mind. When they kiss and successfully fall in love,
Yeah,
uh
your mom.
The mom and dad.
yeah,
The
the mom and
mom
dad,
and son.
My
not
goodness.
you and a character. The picture is then restored. You don't have to worry about that
Aw.
mechanic anymore from that point forward.
So, one other thing that is unacceptable, you really want to collect those clocks in the stage, and they're spread throughout. Some of them are in impossible
Gotcha
areas.
spots?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just you can't get. And it's constantly moving. You're constantly moving towards the top of the screen. You can't like not do that. You can slow yourself down or speed yourself up, but you can't not be
But you're moving the whole time,
forward.
yeah.
And so there's a lot on the screen trying to hit you, and it's like it's like a one-hit thing. And if you do get hit, any clocks or anything actually that was in the frame of the game is gone when you come back to the game, like when you respawn.
Yeah, as well as taking lots of time away from you,
Right.
or at least continuing to let the clock run, which is
Yeah,
sort
if you
of
get
punishing
hit,
enough
it's
on
like you
own.
kind of have to start playing almost perfect from here on out.
I'd
most
say
stages.
you probably have 3 hits
Probably
that you
3,
can take
realistically.
on any given stage. If you don't have any movement speed increases or anything, if you're just on your feet, you can probably get hit 3 times, but that can happen fairly
Very
easily.
Easily.
Yeah. Partly because they, I think, just tried to make this game hard. Like, there are a lot of flying things that you need to dodge, like the fact that there are random bees, like what, so they really did give you a lot of obstacles to take on. But also partly because some of their implementation of how the world works or your interactions with it are just kind of whack. Nolan, you tried to jump over that bench in your first play. That ain't happening.
But also,
you should absolutely be able to.
I
100%.
think, can you not?
I really don't think that jump's
Nolan's
possible.
jump didn't look great, in my
No.
opinion.
Nolan's didn't look great, but I don't think he's the only one that's like run into that bench and been like, "This is forgiving," and it's. There are a lot of areas where it seems like I should be able to do this thing, and it shouldn't be as catastrophic as it is.
Well, yeah.
Where you hit an obstacle, you wipe out whatever else, and it's harsher than it should be. So they made it hard, but then they also made it like not on purpose punishing as well. And I don't know which one to blame here, but like 3 hits to get through on time, if that's the exact count of what you can actually take, it's about that. Is a pretty actually difficult bar to hit here.
But there are 2 power-ups that can potentially help you do so.
Absolutely.
You might not have found 1 or 2 of them because you don't get them showing up until a stage or 2 in, and you might have already programmed your mind to avoid everything.
Also, they don't look like anything.
They don't. They very much make it look like every single thing you touch is going to kill you.
Square.
And then without showing you differently or giving you some kind of visual indication that things are different, you're then supposed to notice a bowling ball,
a dot,
and pick it up, which is really just a random circle that looks like something you could trip.
Looks like a hazard.
On. And you should also notice a skateboard that also doesn't overtly look like a skateboard. It just looks like a little shape.
Okay, can we talk about both? Bowling balls. Guys, it's been a moment since I've seen the movie, but what?
No, it's...
Does he go bowling? I don't think he goes bowling.
I don't think there's any... To my recollection, there's no like major plot elements that have anything to do with bowling.
I thought y'all were fans.
What are you about to
we'll
search?
straighten this
Does
out.
Marty go bowling? There's
like
a concert.
bowling may happen, but even if you go bowling at some point in this movie, no one's throwing bowling balls.
What else is he gonna throw? Time?
They don't make a good projectile.
I don't think there's a bowling ball like scene in the.
I don't think there's a bowling ball scene,
I
which
don't
means
either.
this could have been a baseball or a football, or he could have had a gun.
A gun to shoot the ballerinas.
Any number of things.
Oh, dude.
There's things he throws later that make more sense, like give him milkshakes again. Like there are so
Spoiler,
many
bro.
things it could have been.
So
I know,
the
spoilers.
bowling balls are just used to hopefully, if you throw them well, time it well, then you can hit an enemy or some kind of thing that's in your way.
Yeah, you're knocking out obstacles.
They go away and also give you points. Why?
Why points?
It is arcade-like, Nolan
Yeah.
said, and so you've got a point counter down at the bottom.
And
You've
a
also-
picture.
You've also got a skateboard. That's the other power-up, which is a little bit
Yeah.
more helpful.
And Nolan is right. They should have just put you on a skateboard in the first place.
Yes.
Like the whole time.
Thematically, yeah. Thematically, that makes so much more sense. Start you on a skateboard. If you hit something, then you fall off, and then you have to look for another one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's
Exactly.
fine.
Exactly.
Like, give yourself a life or something. But, like, give you the skateboard.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole shtick.
It's just
The
much.
fact that they didn't was annoying.
It's much easier to maneuver on the skateboard.
Which skateboard
really
speeds you up. It allows you, a little bit
Right.
greater maneuverability.
Like jumps are
and-
easier.
Yeah, but things also move a lot
Faster,
faster.
sure.
So I felt like it was easier, but also more challenging in some ways as well.
Yeah, but you don't have
once
to
you
get
were on
all the
skateboard.
clocks. My main concern
No.
was getting to the end of the stage.
Absolutely,
So,
and the skateboard helps
yes.
with that.
Yes. Now, after you've done that, seriously, 5 times? Is it 5 stages before
first
the first
area is
actual game?
5.
5.
I think so, yeah.
Which
I
is
think there's 5 of
crazy.
them.
That's
Which is
crazy.
basically the same thing over
Yeah.
and over again for
Nothing
all 5
changes.
of those. Slightly different, I think slightly different layouts,
Yeah.
whatever else. But you're doing the neighborhood dodging of stuff as the game for 5 levels.
And then you play something maybe a little bit more substantive. In fact, that's kind of the setup. You do the paper boy stage over and over again until you do a mini game, and then you do the paper boy
Right.
stage over and over again until you do the next mini game. And the mini games are 3.
And it marks in on your little overworld. Yeah, you go for a little
Sure.
while and you get to the cafe, and then you go for a little while and you get to the school.
I view those as boss fights.
And then
Oh,
you go for a little
why?
while and get to
I
wherever
guess.
you're doing the concert. I
The
guess
concert,
you're still at the
yes.
school.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe
so
at the gym or something.
the first one is at a cafe, and you're supposed to be repelling Biff's gang of bullies. Again, a lot of B's. You are behind a cafe counter, and as the bullies come from the left side of the screen, you are to line your character up with the bully and throw a milkshake at their face, repelling them and keeping them away.
That
If
is
you
in the
do
movie.
that. If you do that, I don't know about exactly that, but that is a scene from the movie.
Yeah.
But you have to do it, I think, is it to 30, 50? I don't remember. You have to get a certain amount of them before they make it to the counter.
I don't know that it's 50 of them, but I think you have to get to 50 points. But I don't remember
It's a
like
lot
how
of
many
them.
people are worth points.
Because
I don't know the correlation there.
the
But
moment-
it's past 50 points.
The moment you miss one and they get to the counter, that's the end of the mini game. And if you haven't achieved that point threshold, then you have to do it all over again.
Well, because they're bullies. Bullies are gonna bash. Like that's what they do.
The second
No, it's
mini game
rough.
is it's in the school, and you are blocking kisses from your mom.
Yeah.
sort of projectile hearts that she's sending.
Well,
The
she's
idea
into
is
Across
that
the
you're blocking the
classroom.
kiss
She's
if you
into you.
watch the movie. Yeah, she's
Right.
she's into you. She's coming after you. She's tossing her heart at you. And you, what do you have
You
in
say-
your hand?
I'm gonna say you say
It's a
blocking them,
riot
but really
shield.
it's like you're collecting
A
them
riot
It is
shield.
a
because
riot
you're
shield.
putting yourself in front of them.
But he's
so it's
holding
not like you're
something.
trying to avoid them.
Yeah, he's holding something. He's holding like a textbook, I think, is probably
I know,
what
but
it is.
regardless, it feels kind of antithetical to what
that is
you're
the
trying
most
to do.
insane mini game. I'm just gonna say that.
It's
It's like the inverse
Yeah.
of the other one. The
Yeah.
other one, you're behind and you're moving up and down and lining things up and throwing them. Here, you're
Your mom's
moving up
trying
and
to kiss you.
down, but things are going towards you,
Yeah,
and
things.
you're trying to intercept them.
the third mini game is drastically different from the other two. You are playing guitar to stay in tune at the dance to get George and Lorraine, your future parents, to kiss, which is just like the movie. And two,
Sort
I'll tell
of.
you the truth, is decently fun.
You thought so?
It's fine.
It's decently fun.
Catching the
Beca-
notes.
Yeah, you've got the notes that are coming, and you've either got a sharp note, a flat note, or a note. And based on where the sharps will always be high, so you have to hold your guitar high to catch that note. And then the bass, I think the bass clef, that's where you put it down low,
Yeah.
and you have to measure that up. It's coming from the left and the right. It was something, and it
Way
was a mini
better
game.
designed than
Yeah.
blocking hearts or throwing milkshakes.
Yes,
The first two
and,
are
Yeah,
basically the same.
Of the three, it's the best, I think.
and a lot more leniency. The other two, I had severe difficulty getting through them, actually, with the point threshold it required. The music one, I think I maybe failed the first time, but was able to do it the second time.
You're
So,
building
like,
the
it was.
thermostat. to-
Yeah, you have to build it
Yeah.
in time, and it was reasonable. It's reasonable.
Yeah, I thought that one, that was not bad, but everything up until that point, which the third one's like towards the end of the game,
Oh, yeah.
everything up until that point is the exact same
Well, yeah.
thing. I was thinking that after that first area of 5 stages of going south to north, it would like maybe change genres on you or something. Because games back, there's some NES games that kind of did do that. Like that American Gladiators game had like different kinds of
Sure.
play styles. I
Or
thought,
give you different enemies, or give you really anything different at all.
yeah,
But they did sort of
skin it.
reskin them
Kind-
a little
co-
bit, so there's like a
the best they
different color
could.
scheme.
Yeah,
Yeah, but The gameplay itself is exactly the same during all of those walk through the neighborhoods. However, once you get through that last mini game, you don't have to walk through the neighborhood anymore. You've got one final challenge that again is just like the movie, sort of, like all of these. And you get to hop into the DeLorean, and you've got to get the DeLorean up to speed. You got to hit that very iconic 88 miles per hour speed, and you got to do it by the time you get to the end of the stage. There's an actual like finish line that you're driving towards, and in the meantime you have to dodge lightning bolts
because they're storming in that scene in the movie.
Right.
This one felt the most out of all of them. Actually, this one felt and maybe the guitar felt the most movie-ish. You know, like they want you to feel, because in the manual, like we said, they keep saying just like in the movie.
Just like in the movie.
This one's
and
the most like
is.
Maybe on theme, or it's like the actual scene pulled into the game. But
the fact that you get to like have the DeLorean have its moment is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
That.
That's what
I
I'm
like
saying.
that you're getting to drive it, but
yeah, me too.
But you get to drive it once for one stage.
For, like, no time.
and,
Right.
And you don't even get to really have fun with it because of the lightning bolts.
You have to go
like,
slow, and
it slows you down
Right.
immediately. And my experience was at least that it was miserable until the very end, and then it lets me get up to 88 so that I can actually, because you have to get up to 88 miles per hour before you reach the end of the stage, and if you don't, then you fail. But like I would be hit by lightning bolts, so I was going so slow the whole time until the last little stretch, and then it just let me get to 88. It did not feel good.
it's just like a little Easter egg, not Easter egg, but just kind of like finale to the game. It felt like it was pretty lame. I mean,
yeah, it could have been so much cooler.
I like
sure.
that they did it, like you said, Kenny. I'm glad
had
the
to have it,
DeLorean was in there.
Right, it needed to be in the game.
The thing that bothered me most was the in between.
Absolutely.
Not just having. It's bad to do it once. It's really bad to do it twice. To do
Too much of it.
To do it potentially
Too samey.
15 times that's
it's
absurd.
It's obscene.
And
With
it's the same.
Yeah, with no modification, with no other than maybe a color palette swap. Like it didn't feel good on the first go through. That was the only thing that was kind of like preventing me from wanting to finish the game, because I knew it was a short game, right? It was like, and I needed to experience it. The only thing that was keeping me from like getting to the next part and finishing it, which I did, was knowing that I had to do that whole thing again, and I had to do it
several
again.
more times,
and again and again, and every time you're hating yourself because it's hard and the time crunch, and you're failing and you feel like you shouldn't, and you're dodging and jumping and throwing bowling balls, and it's ridiculous. And then you're also really confused about why their brand of glass cleaner is so wildly effective.
That got all of us.
it got me like immediately. I was like, I'm gonna go in between these two
Simply
idiots.
because they couldn't animate it while the guys were moving. They couldn't animate.
They could have found a way to imply it. There's literally two guys standing there
And also,
looking like they're
you have to
just
be able to
holding
duck
their arms
that.
up.
like, you have to be able to duck that, because doesn't he
and
go
duck?
Like the movie, if you run through it, what they're holding is a piece of glass. You can't see it because they don't animate it in any way.
Right.
It's just a clear space between two guys. But if you run into it, it's going to break the glass and frustrate you.
Watch this.
But you were already frustrated enough, so I don't know.
Watch
Insult to
this.
injury.
You flip the filler south to north walking portion of the game. That's the mini game. And then all the other stages, you'd have to add more, because there's only 4. Maybe, there's only 4 total. That's the main game. Different scenes from the movie, different kinds of gameplay, shooting things, blocking things, playing guitar, whatever. And then this can be the in between that you do.
I don't know.
Only
Maybe
4 times.
Maybe it's not enough.
Yeah, but
it's not enough for me to fix it.
You did remind me. It's time for Kenny's development corner. Kenny, if you were fixing this
We
game,
need a little soundbite.
we do. And this needs to be
We
a
do.
thing, and you need to make notes every week on what's one tweak that you would make to make this game even just a little bit better. Come on, give us something.
One tweak is so hard. I literally am just like throw it out and start over. Like this one.
That's honestly.
This one was rough. But
Yeah, a different game, like a platform.
yeah,
like, nice try,
literally
guys,
just
but,
But like,
start from scratch.
I just wonder what team got together and said, Back to the Future. Come on, let's put our brains together and came up with this as the format. That's
Beam-
It's not a big fix, but I'll stick with my suggestion earlier. Start on the skateboard at least.
okay.
Like
Makes it
that'd
better,
be
but
a
still
small
doesn't-
thing, but at least then there's a skateboard that you should pick up, and it gives you a little bit more momentum, and it fits the theme a little better. That's not enough to fix this game. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's something better I could do,
Yeah,
but
they should have just.
it's a hard ask this week.
This is it, and I'm probably thinking back on them with rose-colored glasses because I don't know if we gave Home Alone 1 or 2 our vote for New Game Plus status, but those games were better than this, and they were more of a action game, I think, and it was left to right. It wasn't this kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah.
So maybe just different game that starts on a skateboard.
A different game from the ground up.
Aged.
Any game tied to another medium inherently ages poorly.
Not any.
Often.
I
Like,
would
for
say
instance, I feel like the Lion King doesn't apply to that game.
no. I think it does. It varies wildly in the degree, but I think because that's tied to and maybe a lot less, and so maybe almost negligible. But
Think Lord of the Rings games.
Think
I
Lord
think
of the
definitely
Rings
on
games.
those.
See, I don't feel like it's nearly as much of a problem in that case because popularity is still there and
But it's still
longevity
a
and
time and
whatever else.
place. Like all I'm
With
saying.
Middle Earth.
I think I was talking about when the movies were popular, but
Gotcha.
Middle Earth on the Third Dawn. I don't know how they tell time over there, but I'm just saying that when you connect something to an IP outside of video games, that sure, let's just for the ease of conversation, let's say it's not it doesn't happen all the time, but I think the threat is greater for it to have more difficulty when it comes to aging.
I think that's somewhat fair, and even though this game is super classic, and very popular and well known. Sorry, this movie. Did I misspeak?
You said game.
Oh yeah, no. Well, that was a flub of all flubs.
Go back in time and say it again.
Yeah, let me just back to the future. Even though the movie is a classic,
Yes.
it still doesn't have the popularity today that it would have had then.
Right.
And it is classic with a generation that's sort of aged. And so, like, I think you're correct. I'm agreeing with you, Dustin, that this game didn't, like, future-proof itself well because of what it was about.
My counter to that is if the game is good, that becomes less of an issue. The reason I said Lion King is because, okay, let's assume that, like, yeah, it's based on a movie, but let's say you don't care about that or have the reference point. Then it's just a fun game about animals, like platforming. When the game is awful, then yeah, like that was why people bought it back then, not because it was fun. And so when you lose that aspect of it, then there's no reason to go back.
Oh, they didn't buy it because it was awful. They bought it because it was attached to an IP.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure Back to the Future, the movie, came out in 1985. This game came out in 1989. So it's not even close enough to, like, actually matter.
It came out right before the release of the second one. So I think it was the cash grab, but based on the fact that the second movie was about to come out.
And then I think they made a sequel game for the second movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, do you want to know the best thing, Nolan? This is going to make both of y'all mad.
Stop.
There is a sequel created by the same people.
Yeah.
And
same people.
Yeah, same people. And the game is called Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. They just did both of them in the next game.
They just lumped them in.
Hey, honestly, respect for not just stretching that into a third game to get more money.
Respect.
But that's so silly.
They did both of the
really
games.
is.
I wonder what that game's like.
Probably really good.
I don't know about that. I just mean,
Wouldn't hold your breath.
I wonder
It's a
if-
different kind of game. They didn't follow this format.
So I'm not picking up
surprisingly.
clocks?
It's more a platformer than this
okay,
one is.
there you go. See, that could work.
It is,
Better.
but it still does
Be
not
careful.
look good.
Yeah, be careful, Nolan.
I'm
Be
not gonna
very
play it.
careful.
It's probably not worse than this. But one of the things that okay, y'all can decide. The thing that annoyed me or the thing that is unacceptable.
Okay.
Okay,
Which one do you want me to do?
Annoy.
annoyed.
Okay, the thing that annoyed me, and hopefully you, is that these charming developers said, one song will be good enough. And from the beginning to the end, on the stages that you're primarily on, the most god-awful, repetitive, single track that
Nothing
is
to do
short.
with Back to the Future.
No, it actually does, Nolan, which is even worse.
It does.
Is
which is
playing
even
on
worse.
repeat. And the beginning part of it is so long before it does the second part of it that you just feel like it's stuck on two notes over and over again. It's really bad.
What do you
Yeah,
mean it has
it's-
something to do with the movie?
It's super bad. It's supposed to be. I don't think it's recognizable because I recognize the short break that you get from that tune when you do get to the music minigame.
Yeah.
It's the only time they actually like break from that tune at all for the entire game. And you can recognize the fact that Johnny Be Good is playing there, which
Okay.
is the tune that's being played. That's fine. This one, though, is supposed to be a take on that other
The Power of
song,
Love.
The Power of Love, yeah.
Which was
that's-
written
that's
for
in
the
this
movie. I don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it at all.
It's
I think
bad.
it's like way sped up. I don't think it's a good translation of that, but it is that short and on repeat for 98% of this game, and it's very annoying.
I mean-
You're correct.
Hearing the same one for 5 stages that's bad, but then when it switches to the next area after the like mini game, you only have to do that like 2 more times, like make 2 more songs, maybe 3. That's
Oh, you're
not
saying
a
the
lot,
new area of it. So, like, when
Just-
you're doing
yeah.
it 5 more times, at least
Yeah,
give us a
it's-
second song.
which is still bad to
Yeah.
hear it over and over,
But
but it
better.
was just different
They could
than
have
the
done.
first
They
5.
could have done anything at all. Absolutely.
I don't recognize it as that song
The Power
or
of Love.
any of the music in this game, but
I do agree with Kenny that the other one that was played, Johnny Be Good, was much more listenable.
More
than this one.
recognizable. It's still a butchering of that
Sure.
tune. Like it's still not good.
okay.
The-
what was the other thing you
yeah,
said?
the
annoying and
unacceptable
what?
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, come with me on a journey.
Oh.
And it pertains to the graphics.
Okay.
What is, you know what? Our main character of this show, Marty, is known by one primary
Jacket.
physical feature.
Jacket.
Yeah, Nolan. It's his, what, orangish red jacket?
Red. Yeah.
Sleeveless jacket?
Yeah.
Not
Puffer.
his black sleeveless t-shirt and
T-shirt?
blue jeans with a black hair?
Hair?
With a black
Lego
head of hair?
Lego hair.
He looked like a character out of Grease,
Exactly.
not out of Back to the Future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Marty is iconic for one look, and they didn't do that one look.
You were in for Halloween.
I was him for Halloween. That was literally 10 years ago.
All you had to do was get the jacket to make it good, and
Uh,
they couldn't even paint his. Just
They
leave
didn't do
it.
that.
Leave
They
it
gave
as
him
a shirt.
black,
Just make it red.
yeah, greaser shirt for sure.
I mean,
With black hair. That's not even the color hair he has.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's the thing that
Black
probably
hair.
bothered me the most in all of this, because it's like that's low tier. That's
Yeah,
easy for
that's
you. to-
true.
Here's other things that you could do that are fairly low tier for most developers. Have a walk animation that can stop so that you're not moving the whole time, no matter what.
No, it's arcade like.
and,
I get that.
And physically actually let your character stop moving. He's pumping those legs nonstop all game. Have an animation where he falls when he gets hit that doesn't look like he's
Erased
I don't know,
from
having
existence?
a stroke, being
Seizure?
exercised, like dancing on the ground horizontally. I don't know what was going on, but he's flailing. There's so many other things I could also whine about because this game looks, I don't know, very like first take. They're like, here's the concept of the game. Here's a couple like placeholder animations. And then someone was like, oh, cool, ship it.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, and let's also in the first 5 stages start with our by far worst color palette. Later on, they're fine. One of them is actually quite acceptable in terms of the color palette and the like shrubbery or trees or whatever is going on. The first one is gray and bright green. Brat
Like,
green,
yeah,
some
like-
would
It's
say.
pretty
Neon.
awful. Yeah.
It's like, that's hideous. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't go together. But no, let's start with the worst one.
I was about to say that you at least can tell what things are, but there's some things, obstacles that I'm not for sure.
You
know
I
can't
what
still
they
don't
really.
know what I for the longest time I was seeing like a tire, but the more I look at it, the more I'm convinced it's not a tire.
It's
But
not
I
a
don't
tire.
know what it is.
Maybe it's a tire.
I saw a tire, a trash can. I think I saw
Barrel.
bowling pins.
Bowling pins, absolutely. That's oil slick. Guy
oil
with
slick
the
was
tank
obvious.
top that is
Yeah.
just in your nightmares. I don't know who that's supposed to be.
Hey, is the ballerina or the hula hoop girl? I don't know what she's doing. That's got to be a reference from the movie, right?
It has to be.
Because if
Don't
not-
remember.
They should be sued.
She also throws balls at you, which I feel like is probably not in the movie.
The bowling ball one is though. If you
No, it's not.
want a copy for your Nintendo Entertainment System of Back to the Future, it's $12 used.
And
loose.
also, don't talk to me.
It's $651 new in box.
Okay, racket.
651.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Bob Gale, the screenwriter of the Back to the Future films, has called this NES game one of the worst games ever. And he encouraged Back to the Future fans to not play this game.
Wow, based.
I'm just gonna have to agree with Bob Gale. Yeah, this is a garbage tier game. Probably one of the worst ones we played this year. Not the worst games that we've ever played. I always have to specify that, but I would probably put it. This is without much thought. In the bottom 10 games we played. It might not make that. It might be right outside of that. I did beat the game, so there are plenty of games that we played where I'm like, it's not even playable. This is bad. It was developed poorly. It looks bad. It sounds bad. Everything about this game is bad. You can tell that it was a cash grab, but it was such a poorly done cash grab. No New Game Plus from me. Kenny.
Yeah. NGP status, absolutely not. Game has almost no redeeming qualities. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't waste that opportunity by going out of my way to stop the creation of this game because it has no influence on my life.
You'd shoot Hitler.
But I wouldn't be mad if someone did make that choice. You know, I'm going back and giving myself lottery tickets or something. No NGP.
Nolan, can you redeem it?
No. This is one of the worst games I've ever played. I'll say that.
But not the worst.
No, but it's
Top
you
10?
said top
Bottom
5?
10?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's top 10 for the podcast. It functions, so that's a lot. That's more than a lot of other games that we've played before. It actually, we can beat it. But you're gonna pull your hair out. There's no fun to be had. Where's the fun? It's not here. Don't play this. I don't think, and I'm just guessing here, I don't think there's a good Back to the Future game for you to play. So if you really love the movie, just keep it out of the console.
I have the sense that you're wrong.
I don't.
There is
that newer one?
word that there's a newer one on
It's like story.
Some
Oh, I
other
played it.
Is it Telltale?
console.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Telltale.
Yeah.
Telltale made
I
a
played
Back
it.
to the Future game, and people like
That doesn't
it.
count.
I played it. Do y'all want to know?
Is it awful?
I do.
No, it's good. It's fine. I mean, it's obviously no Telltale Walking Dead or even the Batman one or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it was fine. It's fine. It's probably
Still-
the best. It's probably your best option at Back to the Future.
Right. If
There
you're
you go.
going to play Back to the Future game, that's probably the one you want to look at.
But for Back to the Future 4 NES, it is not New Game Plus certified. But what did you think?
I think Dustin went to do number 2.
Gross. Those of you on YouTube who stayed with us, 8% of you said yes, Back to the Future is worth playing today, which seems like a big number considering.
No, I'm really curious if that's a new low. Or
I don't think it is. No, we've had low single digits if I recall.
Okay.
And I may not. Regardless, 41% said no, go play something else. So quite the ratio there on yes to no. And 51% have never played it before.
See, those I believe. Many of you wrote in your thoughts in Discord, and I will say, because Dustin's not here to correct me, the amount of simple one-liners this time around might be a record. Because
with an episode like this, I'd bet people were in weird, like, nostalgic snark mode.
Yes. Well, let's start. Sin Doctor says, I wish I could go back in time to before playing this game. No NGP.
See? I knew.
Yeah,
I
were
knew
kind
there
of
would
right.
be. I knew there would be references.
God. Kakeo-san said, this game is so bad, Dustin should say the F word for the first time on the podcast out of spite. It's a good thing he's not here.
Right. He might have hit you up on it if he was reading these comments right now.
That's a good thing. Shane, here we have a little more here with Shane. Shane the Destroyer says, I don't know. The main game loop is fine. Not great, but fine. Could use a bit more info so you don't think everything is an obstacle. Maybe a counter in the HUD to show how many bowling balls you have and some way to tell the skateboard is safe, but suppose that's part of why games had manuals back then. Never watched Angry Video Game Nerd myself, and I've heard his character overblows many things, but I think the anger was justified this time. No NGP from me. Which, to explain that a little bit, I actually think, you've heard of that YouTuber before, Angry Video Game Nerd.
I've watched some
I
of this
think
stuff.
this was his first game on his channel, Back to the Future.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm lying. Maybe that's not true, but he certainly has an episode on it, and that's what he was talking about. Did it make you angry, Kenny?
I mean, when your whole shtick is I'm angry about things, you're gonna be
Yeah.
really angry about things. So I take probably everything he says with a little bit of hyperbole, but like some nuggets of truth. So
Yeah. Garlow says,
it was a big nugget, in fairness.
it was a big nugget. Garlow says, I'm not recalling any game on the podcast more padded than this game. The only difference between stage 1 and stage 18 is how many enemies are just bees.
Oh, the bees.
I don't know about any
The repetition of the neighborhood stuff as like just filler is really, really heavy. Like I get if you're like sort of into it and like the like the 3 mini games, but it's just so much of that neighborhood.
It's just so many bees.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Finally, Harold said, yes, 1989. Wouldn't it have been amazing if we got to play Castlevania 3 instead this week? We already played DuckTales and Prince of Persia from that year. Even Minesweeper would have been amazing. Parentheses, right, Kenny?
I mean, I would absolutely do a whole episode on Minesweeper
Was that the year it came
alone.
out?
By myself, I would presume. It sounds like they did their research on what happened in 1989. I don't know why.
Thanks for writing in, everybody.
For now, we are putting aside Back to the Future, and we are randomly selecting the next game that we will be playing for the next 7 days. We're going to our Retro Master list, which this time did us very poorly. Hopefully this next time it will do us very goodly.
We're running out of games.
Yep.
I don't know if we are, Nolan.
I don't think that's how
We're running
games
out of
work.
good games.
I don't know if we are, Nolan. I just
so.
think there are many more bad games than good games.
Also, our threshold is just time itself. So, like, we're always going to have more games that are 15 years old or older.
That's what you
We're
were
going to be
collecting
fine.
in
Which also means we're always going to have more bad games than good games.
Probably.
That's how it works. Randomizing now. We're going to be playing a game that actually began as an arcade game. It was submitted as a Dreamcast game, but I think that we will be completely fine playing the PC version as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's
all
all
over
over
the
that was
place.
a lot. Yeah, that was a lot of different things.
We are going kind of back to a genre we've done a little bit of recently.
Uh-oh.
And will we play that genre again
In the future?
someday?
Yeah, as long
So
as
we are going
keep going
back to
on
the future.
with how
Thanks,
this
Nolan.
podcast works. The genre is both survival horror and educational.
No.
Whoa.
Nolan,
Yeah.
Nolan, you know?
No, but I like that.
It was developed by
No.
WoW Entertainment and published by
World of
Sega.
Warcraft.
The game that we are playing is a modification of a light gun arcade game
Oh, why can't
where
we
the
do that?
gun is replaced by a computer keyboard where you take the role of a secret agent in a zombie-infested Venice and must quickly type letters, words, and phrases in order to kill fast-advancing enemies. We are playing The Typing of the Dead.
This sounds like your favorite game ever.
I
Me?
can't even... No,
Dustin.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah,
about favorite
He
game ever.
weirdly likes fast reaction typing, quick twitch.
Well, he's
Did you
got a
see
good
that?
word
Games.
per minute. He's got a good WPR.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to bring that to discuss this next week. There's a website, Type Racer, where
Monkey
you can
Type.
race with other people, and we all need to bring our WPM for the discussion.
We'll see.
Hold on.
Kenny's
Kenny?
will be the weakest.
Kenny gets to do the first play. It's scary and typing.
Yeah, this is gonna be.
Can
a
you
good
please
one to
give
watch,
yourself
not
to
gonna
this first play? Give yourself. Because this can be really good.
I'm actually afraid right now.
Find a copy of The Typing of the Dead. Play it along with us this next week.
You could be a part of our community if you want to. All you have to do is go to discord.gg/newgameplus, and that's it.
We want to say thank you to those of you who support us on patreon.com. Your ongoing support helps bring quality retro gaming content to you and all of your friends' ears. Thanks for your support. Especially to our director level supporters, Bro Jim, Super Hyper, Siegfried, and Scotty. We would hop in a DeLorean with any of you. To our producer
do
level
that.
supporters, there's many of you, so let's see if I can get through this without dying and choking to death.
Ooh, it's going to be rough.
Alex, Alias X, Marlian, Antonin, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 o'clock Shadow, Garlisle, Guardian, Cade, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, Jay, Robert, Jake, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Levi, Marcus, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Retro Man, Sajan, Shane, Sasser, Scotty, Shauna, Snakematic, Psychomantis, The Kentucky Kid, Thomas Tins, Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
I'm assuming you said our directors as well.
I did.
You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. The links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Edited. Join us next week as we play The Typing of the Dead. Until then, I'm still Nitsud.
I'm still chucking bowling balls every which way.
Marty.
And this has been New Game Plus.